Hello there guys, what is going on? SonOfChelsea back here again for another edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Hope you're doing well and keeping safe on this Friday. Building up to the game obviously on Sunday against Aston Villa. Going to have my team selector, so my thoughts on the game out on the channel tomorrow, probably afternoon, evening time, so please stay tuned for that. But in today's news video, Reece James, his injury issues, N'Golo Kante as well, Wesley Fofana, not a great day on the Chelsea injury front, to be honest, via Graham Potter's press conference. As well, Joe Shields, as Director of Recruitment from Southampton, that thing has developed significantly since the last time I spoke about it. And finally, some transfer chat and rumour regarding Jude Bellingham and Chelsea's interest in the Borussia Dortmund midfielder. Before we get into any of that good stuff, I want to ask you guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of the uploads. Do want to say quickly, thank you for all the new subs, getting us beyond 29k, a new landmark for the channel. Kai Havertz's number, hopefully it can be a successful end to the year, because we're now on the road to 30k, which would be a massive landmark. So thank you for all the new subs and support on the channel. And also guys, if you are enjoying the content, please hit that like button, because it helps new people find the channel as well. So I wake up, it's a Friday. You know, Friday is always a good day. We're close to the weekend, close to some football, and regarding Chelsea, it's been mainly positive, so you want to see them play again. And I get my coffee, I'm getting ready for work to write some stuff for Football London, and then my good mate and colleague Adam Newson breaks this story regarding Reece James. It's not looking good. This is what he had to say. The knee injury sustained by Reece James in Chelsea's victory over AC Milan is worse than initially feared, and the wing-back faces a race to be fit for the World Cup in Qatar, Football.London understands. James went down in the second half of Wednesday night's 2-0 victory at the San Siro, following a fairly innocuous challenge on Theo Hernandez. The academy graduate required treatment on the pitch and did try to continue, but he was soon replaced by Cesar Azpilicueta. The early indications were the injury wasn't serious. Not only was James able to join his teammates on the pitch to celebrate after the full-time whistle, but he remained in Milan on Wednesday to explore the city rather than make an immediate return to Cobham for tests and treatment. However, James is understood to have gone further scans yesterday, and they have revealed the extent of the injury is worse than initially hoped. A decision by Chelsea's medical team has yet to be taken as to whether the 22-year-old will require surgery, but with the World Cup in Qatar beginning in just over a month's time, his place in the England squad is under threat. And then we had, of course, Graham Potter speaking in the press conference today regarding his injury and saying that Reece James is going to go and see a specialist over the weekend. I'm not sure whether this is getting a third opinion on Reece's injury and how serious it is. Obviously, the talk of surgery is very dramatic and very quickly how things have changed. I know, like a lot of you, we're probably getting flashbacks to last year or close to last year, a year ago, with Ben Chilwell's injury. I don't know what it is now about Chelsea beating big Italian sides and having to sacrifice one player. I don't really want to play another Serie A side anytime soon, because it just seems to be, I don't like buying into mythical curses, but this is kind of a trend now. Ben Chilwell, Wesley Fofana, and now Reece James. It looks like a huge blow. And you have that fear, like with Chilwell, that it just massively decreases the mood around Stamford Bridge when things are looking on the up. Because this is not just any player. This is a player who is become inspirational for Chelsea. He is essential, I think, in many ways, for the way we build up, for the way we attack, for also the way we defend. I mean, you look at the upcoming games that he could miss. We have 9 before the World Cup. So let's say worst case scenario, Reece misses all of those games. We've got Manchester United. You think about Marcus Rashford, his form so far this season on the left wing. Gabriel Martinelli for Arsenal. Manchester City, I know we're facing them soon, and others as well that Reece has successfully nullified. So defensively, offensively, creatively, too, the problems we've had in that area. It's just such a shame, and it's such a shame, obviously, personally for Reece, not only from a Chelsea perspective, getting that new contract, having some big performances, but being able to go to his World Cup and feature for his nation. I just really hope, because there is a trend now, unfortunately, growing with Reece getting a few injuries every season. Around the time Chilwell got injured, I think was it a thigh injury? I think it was, that kept him out for around late December to around February time. It's not looking good, and listen, it's not like we have no solutions, and my hope always, when an injury is obviously devastating for a player, but you hope within the squad some people step up. But with James, it's very hard to replace his talent and his quality and the feeling of what he means to this current Chelsea team in many aspects. So fingers crossed it's not as bad as first thought, particularly with surgery, because that could really extend his recovery time. We'll see how it goes, but obviously he's going to be out of the Aston Villa game at least, and you suspect a little bit longer than that, so we will see. It's not been a good Friday. N'Golo Kante, L'Equipe reporting last night as well, just to make matters worse and to kind of preempt that news around Reece James, that Kante has suffered a setback and he's likely to be out 4 to 5 weeks, which really threatens his chances, of course, at the World Cup. I spoke about Kante and his contract situation. I did write a piece for Football London. Please go and check that out. I'll leave a link in the description box below regarding his whole situation, and this really just goes into that debate around his contract. And Wesley Fofana, this was another thing that Potter just casually dropped at his press conference. He also is likely not to play for Chelsea before the World Cup, so not good. A trio of players with setbacks that makes things challenging in a period when there's a lot of games. But as I say, there could be players that surprisingly step up in this period. At least we hope to keep the momentum going, but we will see on Reece James soon. But it seems like with Kante and Fofana, they will not be involved before the World Cup. Let's move on to the recruitment. I spoke about Stuart Webber the other day. That really hasn't developed since. But Joe Shields, Director of Recruitment, potential Director of Recruitment for Fabrizio Romano, tweeting this, breaking this story on Tuesday or Wednesday, I think it was. But Matt Law reporting last night that the deal has progressed now and he will join Chelsea and it has been completed. He will join as co-director of recruitment and talent once he has served gardening leave. Could be as many as 4 more appointments on the sporting side, which will include Christopher Weiville joining in as a technical director. Matt Law also went on to say that he's also reliably informed that Chelsea did not make a 50 million bid for Lavia that was reported after the window closed, who Shields helped to take to Southampton from Man City, and that he was never valued at that level by the club. I do also want to just reference here Ralph Hasenhüttl in his press conference earlier today was speaking about this, was asked about this because there were big reports around how shocked Southampton were. And this is what he had to say. I mean, throwing the utmost shade at the guy who only recently joined the club and has now lost. He came in August and he left in October. It's not a big loss for this club because the impact he had in the 6 weeks was not the biggest. We are not in a situation where we fall into depression. So yeah, quite dramatic. And I assume the shock of Southampton, and you just sort of see the reporting since then. I think The Athletic did an article about this, how sort of surprised they were by this development. But I guess on the positive side for Chelsea, they're starting to build that recruitment structure that has been speculated for so many weeks and months now, and getting those people in place, Weiville, Shields, and as Matt Law saying, that it looks like quite a busy sort of recruitment team they're building, and of course sporting director. I feel like sporting director as well is kind of obviously the big one that you feel like is going to be leading a lot of this, but we will see how this develops, and it's good at least Chelsea have settled on a person and got them in, because obviously we saw Freund recently that went all the way up to, it looked like it was a done deal, and then of course it did not happen. So hopefully we will see more appointments in the coming weeks, because it's so big for the structure of the club behind the scenes and what the new ownership is hoping to build on the transfer front for Chelsea. Finally, speaking of transfers, Jude Bellingham has been linked to Chelsea once again via Bild in Germany, and it's claimed that Chelsea are prepared to pay Borussia Dortmund 86 million for his services, which could be, I think, is close to around 100 million euros. We've spoken about Bellingham on the channel before. Real Madrid's interest, Liverpool's interest, Man United's interest. I mean, I think PSG have also been linked. Does feel like Bellingham is going to be one of those players next summer who is really going to be one of those big players that is chased, and to see where he eventually goes, if he does go anywhere. And if he does, you feel like Borussia Dortmund are obviously going to get a massive fee for him. I find Bellingham an interesting player because I know a lot of people are massively hyped about his talent and feel like the place he does go next summer, if it is to say Liverpool, if it is to say another big Premier League club, if you don't get him, that's going to be a massive regret. I mean, we've seen via Borussia Dortmund, Erling Haaland, obviously a player who was linked to Chelsea 2 summers ago. I feel with Bellingham, is he the profile midfielder that we need compared to? I was asked on the Cyan Dan podcast yesterday about Bellingham versus Rice, I still personally lean towards Rice because of his Premier League experience. And also, I just think the profile of midfielder that Declan Rice is, I think is more important to this midfield. Particularly when we're looking at, say, the development as more of an attacking midfielder. I think Bellingham is definitely more progressive. But you watch him on the international stage for England, you watch him for Borussia Dortmund, you see his involvement in the final third and how much he's increasing in that aspect, I think, month by month. Really, really impressive. And I'd like to know your thoughts on this, because Bellingham, another one of these top European talents, young talents that Chelsea are maybe targeting. You look at Christopher Nkunku, who Chelsea apparently want to buy, Vardio as well from RB Leipzig, and Bellingham. The Bundesliga seems to be a place where Chelsea are looking at the moment, along with other leagues. So we will see how this develops. Let me know your opinion. Do you think Jude Bellingham, out of the midfield sort of options we've heard about, and Chelsea quite clearly needing to strengthen in that area, would Bellingham be top of your list? Let me know in the comments below. But that is it for today's news video. As I said, team selector for Aston Villa are going to be out tomorrow. Also out tomorrow will be my Q&A. I got you guys to ask questions. If you haven't already, go over to my YouTube community page. The post is up there. So you can submit your questions, and on Twitter at SonOfChelsea as well. Already got some really good questions to dive into. So 2 videos for you guys tomorrow before, of course, the Aston Villa game on Sunday, where I'll have my rational perspective, where hopefully Chelsea will have a positive result. Thank you guys for watching. Follow me on Twitter, all that good stuff. And I will see you again very soon. All the best.